Jeff Bezos calls it his $10 billion failure curriculum. It's the secret weapon behind market dominance. Every failed Amazon experiment, from the Fire phone to Amazon restaurants, has contributed to their current success. How much faster could you scale if you treated every failure as an investment in your future success? Businesses that don't have a systematic approach to learning from failure are 60% more likely to repeat the same costly mistakes. In today's market, you're either paying for education through failure or paying for irrelevance through stagnation. Many companies just avoid failure and therefore do not allow themselves to innovate and only take the safe path. Now, if you could set yourself up to make that much better, wouldn't that be worth it? One of my favorite stories I tell is my son was younger and he was going into Kumon. And if you're not familiar with Kumon, it's an idea where young kids really learn math in a repetitive rote way. And it's over and over again, but they get very good at it, and he can do math faster in his head than I can ever do. But, here I am standing waiting for my son to come out of Kumon, and we have a number of, basically me and a number of women standing in this room. And my son comes out, he's got a big smile on his face, and he said, "Dad, I failed 30 times. Gives me a big high five, and we go in like, "Great, let's go get some ice cream." Every one of those mothers looked at me with evil eyes because God forbid that their sons fail or their daughters fail. Where instead, what we talk about is what we learn, because in all reality, you don't learn as much when you succeed because you just keep going ahead and doing it. But you learn when you fail. You learn when your body indicates that, boy, that was wrong. You learn what you did wrong. You can sit down and say, hey, here's what we did, here's what didn't work, and here's what we get to do next time. I can't tell you the number of documents and systems that we've created because it did not work. The viral social stacking system that we use on a regular basis to get 70 pieces of content out of one video, out of one 10-minute video, is thousands of little failures, thousands of systems not working. Well, I explain it and I give it away because most people don't have the tenacity to understand how much work it takes, how many people you have to go through to find the right ones and the right talents, how many systems you got to go through to make sure that it goes like clockwork. But once it does, it sings until it doesn't, until it fails again, until it falls down. We insist on a minimum of 30 days worth of content already in the system before we begin, because we are expecting something not to go right, something to go wrong. And it is not that it's negative, it's just a reality of life. In many ways, our lives are unpredictable. There's snowstorms in the East Coast, and there's times that I've got to shovel the sidewalks and the driveway, and it's a big driveway, because I got to get out. And that may be 2 or 3 hours of my day. And, you're not feeling well, sickness, things happen. A birthday party may get in the way of a shooting event. So we have 30 days worth of content already set up and ready to go, so that when we encounter a failure of the system, it's survivable. And every time the system fails and it's not working, we come back and look at exactly what that is to make sure that we're giving the exact correct ways of doing things and how we're going to improve it. Now, the other part is the conversation about how you treat failure in the company. So as a project manager, I always used to come in and say, okay, we're going to talk about what didn't go wrong. And let's be clear, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. If the kids didn't get up, if the dog ate your homework, it's all my fault. And as soon as you pull fault away, then you can talk about actual productivity. And it's a technique that says everything's my fault. And if someone says, oh, I did that, I says, nope, you're not allowed to do that during this meeting. It's all my fault. And let's figure out how to get it done. And all of a sudden, it shifts from a center of blame, and you can be funny. It's like, I'd like to take responsibility. Nope, you're not allowed to take responsibility. I'm in charge of this meeting. It's all my fault. That allows people then to be creative. So we're not worried about pointing fingers and embarrassment. All of a sudden, we get better at doing this. We get better at making this. So therefore, learning from those faults and having a culture where faults are expected opposed to surprising makes everyone calmer and easier. Now, sometimes you have to hustle and do things, and we have something called a fire drill in our company. If something really is going not right, we may have a fire drill and we may have to drop everything and work on that system. But even that terminology is not, we have a fire drill. You know, we don't have failures, we have opportunities to succeed. We have greater opportunities to excel. All of this, just creating that kind of terminology around not getting it right the first time and creating enough buffer to do it, allows the company to succeed. So what I'd love you to do is I'd love you to take a few minutes and think about how you can best turn your organization or just yourself into someone who embraces failure, and figuring out why failure is uncomfortable for you can be one very, very unique and exciting idea. So go ahead and do that. And if you have any things like terminology that you like and or things like processes to deal with failure, identify failure, and talk about it, why don't you put it in the comments below? I'd love to continue this conversation, and I look forward to talking to you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode on The Strategy Session, where we take your business from stuck to unstoppable. Here's another video I think you'd enjoy. If you found these insights valuable, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell for notifications on our latest videos. Remember, you're not just marketing, you're making history with Ventured Gain.